Okay, this is absolutely fabulous to speak about here. This is from Film Rise documentaries, and it's called Egypt, Episode 1, Chaos and Kings, full episode. Absolutely stunning work. And I just want to comment on what they have to say here. Now listen to this. This is really interesting. Here it goes.
The stones, some weighing over 1.5 tons, didn't come from Nabta Playa. They'd been dragged here from a distant quarry. For the desert dwellers to transport large stones and erect them required an incredible amount of effort and organization.
Obviously, I dispute the fact that they were dragged there. I say these are creatures' bodies.
The question is, why?
Now they're going to show this.
Fred Wendorf thinks they may mark the graves of important people or honor their spirits.
I say they are the graves.
Perhaps someone powerful enough to intercede with the gods and bring rain. One of the most imposing objects was found in this pit, perhaps the final resting place of a ruler or a chieftain.
All right, before we go any further, I want you to understand, and I've shown this a number of times, and I will show it again, the one from Brian Forrester, where he says, oh, interesting weathering patterns, and it's the guy's lungs and so forth. Now, same situation here. They dressed these surfaces, no question. I'm not disputing that. But what they did was they dressed the body of the creature. And here it goes. So just watch it. Now pay close attention now to this part here. That's his guts. See that? That's his guts. You're going to see in a second. You see that? These are blood vessels. So there's some kind of, the blood was going up through there. You see over here, same thing. You see that is body tissue. Now, you see it? I mean, that's what it is. It's not, they didn't put that up in there and then make this around it, no.
At first it looked like an ordinary boulder.
Yeah, it looks like an ordinary boulder to most people. I understand what's going on in there. That's the guy's guts. Now,
but when Wendorf examined it more closely, it turned out to be a primitive sculpture.
Well, it's not as primitive sculpture. And all of these things are pieces of the body that are laying around here. And they could be looked at, and I'm pretty sure that internally it's going to look like this. Oh, you can see the holes in that other guy's torso and the tubes running down, those big holes that I pointed out are the blood vessels. It appears that's what they are to me. Alright, this also was a very large pharaoh, and it was all dressed out nicely, and it had some kind of little cartouches on its sides and so forth, on its shoulders. But there is the ribs, and there is where the lung is. This was from Brian Forrester. Thank you, Brian. Very strange weathering. Wow, it's the guy's body. It's falling apart. And they all are. I mean, I have things that I have shown over and over and over, many, 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 many of them, that are in this same condition from the past. They did this regularly. Mummification was a step down from this. All right, somebody sent me this after I posted about, and it looks from some old, I don't know really any more than what you see right here, but it's a giant working on Stonehenge. And here's what happened. I sent this to Stonehenge and asked them to tell me why, or I said I thought it was a giant, and it's a giant foot, and it's called the heel stone. I looked at these things very closely, and I looked at all the other stones. All the other stones are body parts. They are all body parts. That's all I can tell you, and they don't want to talk about it. Well, I might as well get this off my chest too. That's not natural stone. That is ground up different body parts. The red and the black is the bloody areas, and the white is the collagen, keratin body parts that are more solid parts. And it's just all ground up, and that's homogeneous. There's no way that's going to be like that in nature. It's just not going to happen that way. And they show grinders grinding people up. Actually, the wheel of death or something they called it. And the guy's laying in there and grinding them up. And they were building, bricks and stuff. Very stable stuff. I mean, it's strong. And it appears that they had most of the body fluids out when they did this. And then the leftovers they ground up and made into, now these would probably have been body parts that were still wet after the Great Flood. Because here's the thing, they knew how to work with this stuff. I show you that too. All right, they were here and they had equipment to work with this stuff. They were cutting slabs off of there. This is down in Bolivia, Fuerte de Samapata. That's obviously, you can see it, tire tracks. And you can also see there is tank treads. You see there? There's the seam going right up there. This is so they don't go deep into the tendon, because that's a tendon. I'll show it to you. Now they're cutting slabs off of here to make walls. Time to think about this in a whole new way. All right, it was a tendon they were cutting those chunks off of, and here they are. This is why they fit in so well. They were wet. Obviously, when they were cutting them quite easily. That's why they always say, oh, they're so smooth. Well, they are because they were not completely solidified. They had been in a great flood. Most of the body fluids were gone. This, you see this block here? That's blood. It's blood leaching out of there. That was, I believe, a bone or they got too close into the organ or the muscle or whatever it was. But they did some terrible ones over here. I don't know why they used these. Normally they didn't use the ones like this, but I don't know. They must have, I don't know what happened there. Shoddy workmanship. Only lasted, what, 5,000 years. Jeez. I don't know. It's tough to get good help nowadays. Alright, what they were cutting on was stuff like this. They were, I'm telling you, they were just gigantic creatures back then. What can I say? That's an Achilles tendon. Also, this is broken off right here, which is the abrupt transition, just like that, and it's out in space, and it's Comet 67P. And you can see it shooting off. There's little blood vessels all the way around here, and see them here and here and here. Oh, that gives you blood to feed the tendon itself. And I'm going to show you what happened to Comet 67P. Now you see that I've shown abrupt transitions a million times, and there's a bunch of abrupt transitions, and that's the one that's out. Comet 67P. Let's look at it. All right, this is Comet 67P. This is the anchor ball, and that is the tendon straps, and that is a bundle of muscle. Those little pinchers are muscle, and it's a muscle strap that went to something. All right, now let me show you something else. Remember, right around here, as I showed you in the other autopsy shot, there's all those blood shots. Now, hold on. You see that? People say, oh, what are all these comet jets coming off like it's trailing off? No, they're not. What happens is there is red blood that's in these things. It's not boiled off yet. And these are, you see it? Boom, 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 boom. Right, the whole thing. Those are blood vessels. And what's happening are they make these little holes. You know, like, it's hard to see, but if this thing came out of here just right, all the blood vessels are coming up, and there they are. And what happens is when the sun hits them just the right way, the sun's coming in through here somehow, they shoot out like jets out of the holes. They're just tubes where the blood vessels were. You see them going this way, this way, this way, this way, some going this way, some going. Depends on the orientation of where the blood vessel was sticking. And right around here, there's just a zillion of them, as I showed. That's what they do. They boil off. And the astronauts say space smells like a steak. Okay, no need to get into it too deeply. Space may be a giant airless vacuum, but astronauts swear that it has an odor. Those who have sniffed the aroma liken it to a burning metal, steak, welding, among other peculiar olfactory memories. Space has its own unique smell. Well, it would exactly smell like all of those things because the oxygen level in space is not high enough to combust correctly the molecules. So just as metalworking and welding is working with electricity straight through there, you get different odors because you're not burning it like with the smell of steak burning, but you still can smell the steak. See, space smells like burning metal or steak. And what they do is when they come after a walk in space, they take off the spacesuit and they sniff it, and it smells like a sirloin. Medium rare. Anyway, that is what they say, and that is what I see. And well, let me show you one last thing, and then I'm going to ask if anybody would like me to do a video about this. All right, you ever see Saturn's moons, Iapetus, or Iapetus up close, or what do we got here? This is Tethys. You ever see anything like that? You ever see Mummies? Ever see anything like that? I don't know, they're pretty interesting. So, I am looking at Iapetus and all of the moons and all of the things that are in space and all of the data that I can gather. And I'm starting, well, not starting, I have completely now become fully a believer that there is nothing in space that was not biologically, the origin was biology. I mean, that's all there is to it. Now, alive, dead, today, obviously, some things are not screaming and kicking and doing this and that, but other ones, I don't know. I don't know. I know Earth is alive and in desperate trouble, yes. I did a video on that 5 years ago, asking for help about the Earth is dying and getting killed and nobody's paying any attention. And I'm telling you, it's not getting better. Anyway, that is water over a Z-dam. So I think it's time to at least look into this. If it doesn't make any sense, just go about your business. I have people that do that. My whole family feels that it has no meaning whatsoever. I'm serious. I'm not kidding you. It's unbelievable, but it is what I am confronted with. So let's just move towards. Just look at it. I don't care if it doesn't mean anything to you. And I'm just doing this because I really have to do this. It doesn't mean anything to me how you feel about this. It really does. I mean, it does. I'd love to see you be fully engaged and which means a lot more than just being curious and happy. It means you might get out of life have a good time later. It's because I'm going to tell you right now. I know I'm starting to get into this preaching and all this business, and it's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to uncover what was said and what does it mean. How could all this stuff is absolute insanity? But I'm finding it's real. I mean, come on now. A real moon that was a body part. I know what that is. I know exactly what it is, and I know all these things that I'm seeing pretty much what they are. All right, so how do you deal with that? And how do you deal with the fact that they said these giants and creatures and gods and all that were around, and they were talking to them, and they were giving them directions. They said, the way I'm seeing it, it was a fight between two guys, which really I don't mean that to be irreverent. There was a fight between the Creator God, who is an all-powerful God, and I believe he's Jesus' son. And at that time, he didn't have to have Jesus do anything because he was doing good. All was good, and he created the angels out of light. It said he created the demons and the jinn, which we call them demons and jinn, but they were actually just a different, like another race almost, only it was made out of fire. So they were real, I guess, kind of aggressive, and they turned into demons and jinn in the Muslim. Now, so you got light as the angels, and they were perfect in God's sight. And then his next group of guys, I guess Satan was one of them, was in the made from fire. That's how I understand it. Now I could be wrong, but and this is all got to be open for discussion. Nobody's got all the answers, But I don't see anybody looking for them either. That's my problem, and I'm looking for them because this to me is like this is it. I'm not a puppy anymore. I don't want to. I want to get to the good side of what's the end. So anyway, getting past all that business, I see it as my obligation to do what I can do to figure out what was written and what was right and what was wrong. And I found virtually everything that we were told is in my mind at least highly suspect. And in most of my mind, it's complete nonsense. I got to tell you, I'm perfectly honest with you. And it is so avoided that that is a wonder to me. That is a wonder to me because, I realize it now that it's just universal. But why? When I started this endeavor, let's call it an endeavor, and I realized what I had, and there was no question about it. So how do I deal with that? I presented as rationally as I could, as nice as I could, and I was literally assaulted by everyone, from my family and it's still that way, basically. Of the people that took that posture, they just can't step back from it. I see that as a weakness. I see that as a weakness. Anybody that can't step back from something that was basically a snap decision. I mean, I'm talking snap, and snap was, snap like a dog snaps. Anyway. That was, and most people that did take that snappy type of decision have a very hard time withdrawing from it. Now, I do research, So I'm wrong 100 times until I think I'm right. And when I'm right, I think I'm right because I did it the other 100 wrong times. Now, if you can't get past the wrong times because that makes you upset, well, then you're just not cut out for thinking. Anyway, I guess that's a pretty good ramble. But that's, I'm telling you, hard to believe that the people that they I mean I just anybody. I don't want to start pointing fingers. I do this all the time, and it's not good to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be friends with everybody, but I want you to start thinking. And what happens if I keep getting attacked? I attack back. I'm just like anybody else. And what can I say? That seems to be my life, and it's getting better. I got to be honest with you. Even my buddy Pete, hey Pete, he says, hey, those people aren't attacking you anymore. And I said, well, good. Because here's the thing, I report on everything, like space and light and all that stuff, and I don't like being attacked by any side that has no evidence whatsoever. And I present the evidence, and then I get just some kind of silly attack, like from geologists saying, "Oh, that's just a natural formation. Oh, it's just that little strike there. That's that." And then when I show them a tendon ball has the exact same architecture, oh, I just that's all natural. And of course they don't have any idea how these balls are formed all over the earth. Ah, you saw the one I showed before. You see that where the spots are, and then you see the stripe. It's like Iapetus. And they're all over the earth, these things. All right, I want you to look at this. You see all those stone balls? Why do you think they're there? That is what's called intersitium. And those are the balls from intersitium. The skin is, the underneath layer of skin is underneath there. The really gooey part of your skin, the fleshy part, has eroded away and turned into mud. Well, like this stuff right here. See? Now, the balls, though, are the intersitium balls. And between every one of those balls, there's little tiny straps. And I showed this on the back of my belt the other day. You could see it. It's exactly the same. And you see back here, that's not just back there bumps on a hill. That is part of this creature. And this is skin, and this is the skin just like that's on your body. And when your skin's in good shape, all of those balls are locked in position, and then these little straps let it go, and they all come back to where the balls are anchored. Those balls are all moving now. But in a lot of the skin I have here, that's on. Well, let me show you. Yeah, what the hell? I'll show you one. You see how cool is that? That's Mudfossil. These are those intersitium balls, and there's little straps that run in between them. There's a cross section this way, but they're loaded with these balls, as you saw. See, there it is right there. These are the little intersitium balls. They lock in these little straps so that everything comes back to where it belongs. And this is this skin and the collagen bundles and fluid-filled bags that distort, and you can and all these things pull you back. But there's a billion of those balls. They're everywhere. See it? Okay, my friends, I am going to wrap it up with this. And if anybody wants me to do a in-depth on what we find in space, I might do that. But I've done it a number of times. It doesn't seem to do much. Now, these are those balls, those tendon balls, those intersitium balls. That's just what they are. Now, what is this? Those are the straps that I talked about. And I said, what do the straps do? They pull and they come back. Well, this is a stretched area, it's pulled, and this is a compressed area, it's all crunched together. This is sort of, what might be considered the normal sort of layout. Now, the balls, some of them are gone, but normally the balls are going to all just stay where they're supposed to be, and the straps are going to go, and the balls are going to pull the straps back. The straps have eroded away or whatever happened. So this, I am saying, is intersitium. And it's the only reason that you could have this big, long, stretched out strap like that is to pull your skin. And this one here is where it's crunched up. It's pretty apparent if you look at it. The pattern is hard to miss. See? And you can see that's eroded away. And if you look closely, that's extremely fine looking sand. It's like eroded sand. You see? You see that? Isn't that interesting? Look at that. Now, first of all, think about this. This is substrate here, and I'm going to call that the substrate, which is below this, whatever it happens to be. And I say it is intersitium. You see? And that substrate is so absolutely flawlessly, exquisitely, identically, perfectly the same. You would have to wonder, how would that happen? I mean, look at that. I mean, that's like, whew. And look at how perfect everything is. So here's what I have deduced. Now, here's the deal. Like I said, stretched, pinched, boom. Sandblasted. That's what happened. Got sandblasted. This is, and sand is from skin. All right? The whole thing is skin. Skin is sand. It's silicon dioxide. There's a lot of silicon in skin. So, first of all, the skin turns into silicon dioxide, and iron particles are in there. So you got ferrous oxide, silicon dioxide. It's all in that mixed together quartzite looking stuff. Red, usually reddish looking. And it blows around, and it did this. Sandblasted it, and it's left with this. That's on Mars. It's called the Mars-Morris Code. I love you all. It's a new world. It's time to think about what this means. If anything, it might mean nothing whatsoever. And there might, like my brother says, he says, hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It doesn't mean anything. Well, that's hard to miss.